What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another Planet Coaster 2 video. So good to be back. It's been a while, but we are so back. Hope everyone had a good holiday season. I know it's not always great for everybody, but hopefully if you're tuning in, it at least wasn't too bad. I myself did have a pretty solid one, and yeah, just got to hang out with some friends and family, do all the usual stuff around the holidays, but very excited to be back at it playing Planet Coaster 2. I missed playing this game. It's such a cool creative outlet of a game. I was thinking about it a lot while I was home, just, you know, constantly laying in bed at the end of an evening, brainstorming, you know, can't fall asleep, trying to think through what piece of the park I'm going to do next, what section of the park is going to be themed next. And yeah, so wanted to come out swinging today and start working on a bigger project that I have been kind of gearing up towards. If you saw my last video, you'll know I geared up towards it because I built the foundation, well, not the foundation, but basically just started the monorail and got it over to the other side of the park. Really did that just so I could see the cool skyline view from downtown Cyber City, but now we are actually in the nitty-gritty of it and working on the station for the monorail. I did a little bit of Google searching before I jumped into this, just looked up, you know, cyberpunk train station, just to see different, you know, stuff that would pop up, get some basic ideas. I knew I wanted to incorporate a lot of glass into this station, especially given that in the latest update, they provided some new glass panes to work with, which I believe these right here are some of them. Very excited to have those. Glad they're back in the game. Right here, just getting them, you know, putting these squares here. I haven't picked up either of the themed ride packs. I saw that there's like a vintage one and also a Thrill Seekers ride pack. If there's like a scenery pack, I might pick it up at some point. You know, the glass was a nice free touch, and it would always be cool to get more free pieces of scenery in the game, but I can't see myself getting ride packs right now because frankly, I've only built like 5 actual rides and even then I feel like I haven't even scratched the surface on the other ones. So yeah, I know the game isn't, you know, people are saying all over the subreddit and, you know, just comments of the game's like, oh, it's totally unfinished. And while I agree, there are some aspects that are a little frustrating, mainly the flume physics. I still think if you can get creative, there is a ton of content to work with and plenty of basic building blocks in the scenery pool to work with that allow for, you know, quite a bit of creativity. I don't feel like I'm running out of options quite yet, which I think is a good thing. So right here, just building a little offset from the station to put in a couple facilities. I'm going to be putting in an info desk, a set of bathrooms, and then I put in a maintenance facility here, as I only have one maintenance facility right now, I believe, up towards the front of the park. So figured this would be a solid place to put another one. Kind of makes sense thematically as well, because then maintenance workers for the rides can, you know, drop their stuff off in their lockers by the train, and then they can jump over to another section of the park if they need to. I might at some point do like a back entrance to the park with a smaller parking lot as like a facility lot. That's farther down the line because that's getting into, you know, some more in-depth realism with the park, which my park has some realism, but not a ton. I'm not super into the simulation aspect of the game quite yet. Maybe once I get this park built and get some infrastructure laid out in it, I'll dive a little more into the simulation aspect. If that's something y'all would be interested in at any point, let me know. But for now, I am much more interested in the creative aspects of the park. Having a little trouble right here getting it to line up. I had to copy multiple of them to get it to go in the right position, even with the grid size being changed. It was a funky little, I don't know if it was a bug or just a way the game works. Getting these glass panes for the all glass roof scooched up there. I decided to make these panes black framed all around there. I'm going to do the whole roof in glass so that you can, look up and see the night sky. I don't know exactly how I'm going to theme around this station. Obviously, this station is pretty similar to what I have done in the majority of Cyber City. Coming off of it directly in front, you might see in like a passing frame, I have the street ball slide. Yeah, you can kind of see it back there. The street ball slide flat ride. So I'm going to put another probably like family coaster in between the station and that section of the park. And the family coaster will probably be themed to that more Bricktown style of scenery, whereas Cyber City is mainly, all steel and concrete. This, I went with the corrugated metal. I thought it was like a nice in between the steel and the brick. Just a nice little overview of the park so far. It's really, it's growing. But I thought that corrugated metal would be a nice little middle ground. Sorry, real quick, I had to delete those cars because they were just sitting out there. I thought the corrugated metal would be a nice little middle ground between the steel of the main Cyber City downtown and the Bricktown area, and I got to kind of figure out a way to tether the two together. So now I'm going to actually go in and complete my monorail. I realized I couldn't place entrances down and exits down on any of the stations until I actually complete the path. So this is going to kind of give the basic outline of what the park will look like. If you've watched previous videos, you'll know I plan on giving this park 3 unique themed areas. The first one being Cyber City, which we have been working on for a couple months now. The next 2 areas, one of them is going to be a wasteland type area, like, if you've seen Blade Runner 2049, whenever they go to the skirts of the city, and there's like debris everywhere and fires burning and, old shanty towns, things like that. I'm going to do that with some larger coasters. And then the other area of the park will be a water park. I've been putting off working on the water park for a while. I will get to it at some point, just haven't gotten to it quite yet. And that's going to be a very bougie kind of elite Elysium style, lots of whites and greens and, floral, and maybe even do like a big glass dome that I can do an indoor portion of the park with. And so those are going to be what the monorail attaches: Cyber City, the water park, and then the wastelands. Off to the right is where I plan on doing the wastelands, and then the water park, that'll kind of slot in somewhere. Haven't gotten there yet. So jumping ahead on this build for the day, getting my pathing laid out in the building. I wanted the whole station to be walkable, so luckily that grid worked great. Doing a little scooting to get that terrain flicker to go away. I believe I get it to go away by scooching the whole building down just a little bit, which doesn't bother me at all. And then getting this entrance laid out. It also just happened to be a good width with the, I think the 8 line width. Yep, fits perfect. I was very excited about that. Didn't even plan it. We'll pretend that I did. Coming up in a few minutes, once I get this exit side of the station going, I'll be laying out the actual queue line for the monorail. And let me tell you, it was a massive pain in the butt to get the queue line going. If y'all have answers to the question that will be coming, that would be much appreciated. But essentially, whenever overlaying a queue path on a standard path, I kept getting chunks of the standard path that would randomly delete or like hollow out underneath. And I couldn't really find a workaround or fix other than just, I could only run the queue path a certain, direction. I'll leave one example in, but I honestly tinkered with it for like 30-ish minutes, and it's just not worth watching. If you know why placing the queue path over the standard walkable path creates all kinds of weird terrain issues, let me know in the comments. If you don't know, then no big deal, because I couldn't figure it out either. So grabbing this glass, scooting it over to the other side, getting this roof wrapped up here in a minute. I left a spot open in the middle because I wasn't sure if I wanted to do something super fancy there or what. I end up, you'll see, putting some glass over the center with like a little central metal corrugated line, and then I'll put some pillars underneath that to make it like a support structure. I tried doing the thin glass here to really round it out and make it smooth, and I might have been able to make it work if I had spent more time with it. But after one attempt, I decided to just jump over to the big squares and, you know, have a little bit of overhang. I don't mind how the overhang looks. I don't need the building to be perfectly symmetrical. That's not a huge issue for me. The exit side is going to, you know, maybe have a shop or two on it, but nothing too crazy. Using that line editing tool, guys, if you're not using the line editing tool for pathing, you're messing up. It's so useful. Now, grabbing the plaster and doing a concrete flooring for the entrance there. And then I believe coming up here in a second, I start working on the tunnels for the entrance and exit. Not doing anything too crazy, just grabbing the rounded roof pieces and creating some dimension, some depth to the station. Tried to find some of the, you know, curved arched pieces that would fill out the gap, but couldn't find anything great. So just end up dealing with the little block poking through. You don't see it from the outside, so as far as I'm concerned, it's perfect. It's perfectly rounded. Getting them lined up, I want them to be also on the entrance coming in. I think it looks really cool. Maybe I'll put some kind of signage on that flat part in the arch tunnel for whenever you're riding the monorail to see. This is where you're going to start seeing that pathing issue I was talking about earlier. Already, it keeps bugging out, thinking that I have to, you know, squarify like that right there, the queue line. And then you'll see as well, I'm going to get like a certain distance forward through this, and then the floor is just going to drop out underneath the queue path. It was really a nightmare. God, it sucked. Yeah, there, you're starting to see it drop out. I do not know why this is the case. I don't know if there's a good workaround. I tried using the edit tool and it just created more problems. So finally, we're going to skip ahead here in a second and you're going to see what I ended up with. Boom, here we go. This is where I finally built the path and got it to work how I want to. I went super simple with it. Let's see. Yeah, still giving me issues there. Oh, it was a nightmare. I think I get a finalized version here in a minute. Yeah, I believe this is what I end up with as the final version. Yep, it's not as long as I would like it, but it looks clean. I'll do some cool decorating with it. And there's no dropouts from the floor beneath or any awkward square sides. So as far as I'm concerned, it is perfectly long enough and a great queue line. Next, we're going to start installing these facilities. I'm going to put the bathroom on the left, get a little frame for the doors there. Tried to throw a window on there, but realized I was going to do something else. So we'll just get the bathroom first. You can't grid it. Got to just line it up as best as I can. Throw some walls on the other side to make sure there's no empty space there. And then we're going to grab the info desk. I actually go in and grab the pre-made one and just delete a couple pieces of it. And it looks pretty solid as a starting point. Change the color a little bit. Might do some other work later on it. And I actually end up changing the lighting on the signage for it. You'll see that towards the end of the video. But I like how it looks. It's simple, it's effective, it saved me some time. I might jump back and do a little more work on it, but for now, it gets the job done. Next, we're getting that maintenance facility done right there. Basic doorway for it. We're going to do a little signage and an awning on it in just a few minutes. Here we go. Grab our awning. We've seen this guy plenty of times. I wish you could remove those lights that dangle on it. It would be nice to have just a straight up clean awning. But I'm not going to complain too much. It still looks good in most areas of the park that I put it down. Next, we'll get that maintenance sign set up. I wasn't sure of how the lighting worked on these signs, so once I jump to night later on in the video, there are all sorts of wacky issues with the signs, and I have to recolor them a little bit, but that's all right. We'll get through that. We'll get there towards the end of the video. Next up, trying to kind of brainstorm how I'm going to do this center section of the train station. Let's see. What am I jumping into here? I think I was going to work out that bathroom to be a little less jank looking. I was like toying around with some tubing, just trying to see what ideas might be cool. Didn't get anything super crazy. We try perfectly rounding out the glass. There's a little bit of space left, but that's totally cool because I have an idea and a way to fix it. So this is where I decided to do a little up piece of the metal that is going to have like a strip across the center for me to do the framing of this building. It makes sense that there would need to be some support structure in the middle to carry all this heavy glass. So we'll just grab these pieces, scooch them all the way across. I got to do some kind of jankness on the back end to get it to look good. Eyeing it, trying to come up with the ideas for how I can make it look normal. At the end of the day, we just angle it downward and copy a few of them. And there's some air vents up there. It's a station, so it doesn't have to be perfectly open, but I might come up with some way to perfectly seal it off here in a little bit. Next, we are looking for the supports. I know what supports I want, and I don't know why I can't find them, but it's the ones that I use in Cyber City on the corners of all the buildings. Before we actually get to the center supports, though, I completely forgot. I decided to use these scaffolding pieces, the aquatic metal beveled wall pillar. That's what it is, to give some really cool depth and dimension to the front of the building. So I actually end up copying these guys all around the building on all of these pillars. They help to break up the monotonous tone of the gray with a slightly darker gray. And I really liked that tall V-shaped pillar. Didn't really know what to do with it. But got those laid out, and now I'm looking for the pillar I want to find. We'll see. I get to it here in just a second, so please bear with me. There it is. Boom. Put it on top, center it, straighten it up, slide it down, copy it, bring it up to the top. Gives me 3 even sections of the sort of beveling portion that sticks out. Looks good. Line them up. Put them gray. Easy. Boom. Building has supports now. It's coming together. It's looking like a station. I'm excited about it. Excited to work with this new texture of the corrugated metal, but it is a little flat as per usual. So we're going to add a little trim to the building. This trim right here I thought was solid. Got the job done. Breaks up the flat texture of the inside. Brings it to life a little bit. Feels like an actual building to a degree. Copy these supports over. Paste them on the inside. Looking good. Copy. Oh, I'm adding all that stuff to building. I'm getting better at keeping things as buildings, guys. So hopefully I'll be able to upload some things to the workshop. Although most of these buildings I make are so many pieces. And I know there's like a cap to how many you can use to upload to the workshop. So if I can, I will. And I'll throw out the code. If I can't, sorry, I'll upload the park once it's done, and then y'all can look around it yourselves. But for now, gonna keep moving these pillars and trim around, making sure everything stays attached to the building so that it's easy to move. Get this centered up, filled out there, bada boom. Really like how much glass is in this station. I think it's a cool vibe, cool look. Once I get the lighting incorporated to it, it is a nice touch. The glass just reflects well. Found some of the preset facility scenery poking out of the back, so we deleted that really quick. Then finish out some of the awning up front, and actually in a few minutes I have a good brainstorm after this this trim I put up front, and I do a cool little tunnel awning entrance to the whole train station itself. So stick around, we're going to get to that, and it is a very cool portion of the station. It's one of my favorite parts of it, and I'm excited to do more decorating on it in the near future. So we're going to add some of this trim. There's a gap at the top of the curved roofing portion and the walls, so you could peek in, so that just kind of fills it out, and again, gives it a little bit more dimension. Nothing super crazy. So let's see what we jump into next here. I'm just looking around now, kind of brainstorming what I could do. And I decided to do the easy thing, lights. They're super easy to pick, always, look good on these buildings. We go with the fluorescent bulbs again. They have a really nice neon glow in this game. The theme color of Cyber City has been the denim blue, so I figure I might as well make the monorail station that color as well. And then we're going to throw some lights on the front of the station. I haven't really used these little modern lights too much, so I figure now is a good time to shake it up. Get them put on both sides, turn the lights off, already looking cool and cyber. Uplights, if you know me, if you know my channel, you know I love uplights. So we're going to get these uplights placed, and then we're going to do some fun colors with them. I really like the turquoise and purple in this game, so I do something similar to that. Here is where I have the wonderful idea to do the entrance tunnel, and it's going to look cool. Delete those lights that I threw in there, and then put these little end caps so that it doesn't look funky. Gonna do the windows on the side. Happy accident gave me a cool idea. That diagonal piece that was left there from the original entrance is gonna make for a really cool looking window portion right there. So sometimes it's, you know, happy accidents. They pay off quite a bit. Couldn't think of the word there. Sorry. All right. We're going to keep going here. Get the window panes set up. Big glass entrance. Excited to light the inside of that entrance as well. We're going to put some more of these little awning pieces on the sides of this entrance to give it depth and make it not look so gosh darn flat. Get the lighting set up there first. I'm also going to be putting those dark scaffolding pieces on the pillars of this entrance. Needed a way to round out the front of the entrance because it looked a little bit funky. So I grabbed these rounded aquatic corner pieces. They tend to do the trick pretty well, and you can disguise them decently so that they don't look like a random cut off end. Here I do that by sticking out the roofing a little bit further and then grabbing some scaffolding and scaling it to look like it is holding it up. Pretty simple. Match the color to those corner pieces and boom, it's coming together. Next, we're going to get the fluorescent bulbs inside lighting the way. I'm not going to do a fancy color with these because they are meant to actually light the pathway. So just line them up with the windows. And then I think I end up, deleting that front one. Just felt a little unnecessary. Add them to the building. And then let's see what we jump into next. The trim. I wanted a little trim to cover up those corner pieces that I used at the front of the entrance there. And figured I would use the same trim I used on the inside. Just scale it up a little bit, make it that dark gray. I like using the multiple shades of gray on the building. I think it just helps certain pieces of it to pop. Get my awnings put back on. Put my awnings up top. Those look great. And then here in a second, I believe we jump into the scaffolding. When I was working on this building, I didn't feel like I was doing anything particularly special. But upon watching back and seeing, where my brain was at while I was creating it, and then seeing where the entrance ended up, I'm actually really stoked with how it turned out. Sometimes you're building stuff and, I'm just trying to get through a portion of the park, and I feel like my ideas aren't that great. And then in hindsight, you look at it and you're like, oh, I did a pretty good job there. So yeah, I'm very, very much excited with how this is turning out. I'm excited that I got started on it. And even if I'm not 100% sold on every piece I did of it, I'll be able to at least have something to stew on now, Now, whenever I lay in bed at night and can't fall asleep, I can at least stew on what I have right now and come up with ways to make it cooler. But it does look pretty cool right off the bat, I've got to say. So moving some of that scaffolding to the inside, moving some trim pieces to the inside as well. I want to be consistent with this monorail terrain station. I'm really excited to see people moving around in it. I hope there's not any super jank interactions with having the queue line on top of the walkway. I hope no one walks around outside of the queue on the pathway and gets trapped. That would be annoying, but we'll just have to wait and see. get my trim set up top as well. Looks good. That entrance is sweet. I'll probably do some other cool lighting stuff inside that entrance, but for now, I just kind of duplicate what I have on the outside, and then I have those fluorescents up top in there to light the path. Again, really just getting the framework laid out. I want this to be a pretty in-depth, detailed station when it's done. I am super open to cool ideas if you have anything, but these are just basics for now. Looks sick. The light is super harsh from those spotlights, so I'm going to change the color to a chiller tone. Oh, love that purple and pink. It looks sick. This is where I noticed that the lights were a little screwy on the signage, so just going in and fixing them up. Can't really see the bathroom sign late at night. Go full black with the background and make the size a little bit bigger so that way you can actually see the bathroom if you're walking in. Boom. Looks cool from the inside as well. You can see that light bleeding through. Very, very excited about that. Just seeing it from a distance in the park. It's pretty big. It's a sizable station. Nothing to scoff at. Next, we're going to go and grab the trusty plaster floors that look like concrete. And we are going to just outline the station a little bit with concrete. Want it to look like it's on a concrete pad of sorts. And I don't necessarily want pathing everywhere on the station. So we're going to use these in place of that. Line the sides a little bit. Not sure how I'm going to like tether it into the outskirts of the park because that's kind of where it is. Might do like a big fence thing, kind of like I did on Chop Shop Chase towards the end of the ride, where there's like a big wall on the bottom and then fences up top. But for now, get the path laid out, and then in a minute I'm going to do some fencing in front to block off. What I put down are basic fountains in front of it. I'm not sold on them. I know they're pretty simple, they're pretty basic, but I wanted something to be there for the time being. I might come up with something cooler and custom in a bit, but I like these big mythology, I think they're called bollards of sorts. Scaled them up as big as I could. Color themed them to the Cyber City denim blue. I end up changing that because to me it looks a little tacky, especially with the fences being blue. I end up going with just gray, and then I highlight the fountains to be more of a blue. So doing something new, not just fence going straight apart, kind of a brutalist look here with these big bollards, pillars, whatever you want to call them, and then duplicating them, going down the line. It's not perfectly straight, so I have to make some adjustments here in a minute, but I get pretty close, and then group it all up together, angle it, realize I didn't group that, angle it again. Now we're getting somewhere. Copy it, move it over, delete the extra one, and then do the same thing on the other side. And it looks cool. It's big, it's a brutalist. It gives some dimension to the station. It doesn't make it just look like a big flat slab of concrete. They kind of give me Star Wars vibes even. I don't know why exactly, but those pillars just, they feel like something from the Empire of sorts. Next, we're going to lay down these fountains. Again, I'm not sold on them. I'm not even necessarily going to keep them, but I wanted something there for the time being. And these were simple and quick to throw down to fill out some space. I'll probably do something a lot cooler. I don't know exactly what. Might make it a little like shopping district in front and end up putting some real pathway there. But for the time being, they look cool. So this is going to pretty much be it for the video, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. I am super, super glad to be back. It definitely, this game has been on my mind a lot, and this channel has been a ton of fun to work on, and not being able to work on it for a weekish, it just, you know, it had me hungry to come back and do more. So there's some final shots of it. I'll slow them down so you can take a cool look at the station and its progress so far. And I will see you guys in the next one.